The last moving part on your sewing machine related to making the stitch happens after the stitch is made, after the needle has come down, all the things have happened underneath, and the needle has come back up again. After each stitch is made, the machine needs to move the fabric so that the next stitch can be made. The needle just stays in place and the fabric moves. The needle goes down, comes back up, and then the fabric moves so that the needle can go down again, make a stitch, come back up, and then the fabric moves. It is important, remember, that the machine moves the fabric for you. You can see that the machine is moving the fabric only when the needle is out of the fabric. Because remember how easily needles can bend and how close the needle is to the hook. If you start pulling on the fabric instead of letting the machine move the fabric, you might be pulling while the needle is in the fabric and then be pulling the needle out of position. So let's talk about what the machine is doing to move the fabric from stitch to stitch. It uses feed dogs and the presser foot. The feed dogs are these little things here. Dog is an engineering term for something that grips and prevents or gives movement. They have little teeth. See, there are little ridges right here that are teeth so that they can bite or grip the underside of the fabric. But they need the presser foot to hold the fabric firmly against them in order to actually grip the fabric. The presser foot is pressing the fabric against the feed dogs so they can feed the fabric through the machine. If I try to run the machine without the presser foot down, the fabric doesn't actually go anywhere. It needs the presser foot to hold the fabric against the feed dogs to make that happen. And there's a whole nother section in the course about different kinds of presser feet and how the right presser foot can really make a difference in sewing different fabrics. So the feed dogs move the fabric enough for one stitch in between each time the needle goes down. And you can watch how they do this. They move the fabric backwards through the machine. So it looks like the needle is sewing forwards, but really the fabric is moving backwards. As the needle comes up out of the fabric, they come up out from underneath. And then they move backwards. They slide backwards, see? So the fabric would also be moving backwards. And then as the needle gets ready to go down, they slide down underneath. So I can't feel them anymore. They're down underneath where they're not touching the fabric. And when they're down underneath, they're moving forward again. You can sort of see that they're moving forward again so that they're ready when it's time to move the fabric again to come back up. And they do the same thing. They move backward, move the fabric back. You can see that they are only moving the fabric when the needle is way out of the fabric. The feed dogs are how the machine makes different stitch lengths happen. So right now my stitch length is set really, really long, and you can see that they're moving a great distance. If I set my stitch length really, really short, it doesn't even look like they're moving hardly at all. They're moving a tiny little bit to make tiny little stitches. Important things about the presser feet are, one, again, make sure that you have your presser foot down, because otherwise the feed dogs can't do their work. The second thing is don't put tape or other things over the feed dogs, because one, you want to be able to have them to move the fabric, and if you have a piece of washi tape or something over the feed dog, they won't be able to move the fabric. But also, if you have tape or something here, they're moving, right? And eventually that sticky tape is going to end up inside your machine and make a big mess. And the last thing is that some machines have buttons or knobs to lower the feed dogs. My feed dogs are lowered. No matter what I do with my machine right now, those feed dogs are not coming up. This is so you can do free motion sewing or darning if you want to do that. You can move it around however you want and do your sewing instead of a straight line. You can move your fabric around however you want. But it's very good to know if you have this setting, because if you are ever wondering why all of a sudden your machine won't feed the fabric, it might be that you accidentally flipped the switch or just forgot that you flipped the switch. For example, I need to lower my feed dogs whenever I need to take off my switch plate to clean out my machine. And then I often forget when I put it back to remember to raise them again. And then when I go to sew, I don't have any fabric feeding and I have to remember to raise them again so I can sew. So that's all about the feed dogs.